So, you plan on boosting your E36? Well, you better have your duckies in order, because it's going to cost you. Let's find out how much. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about how much it generally costs to turbo an E36. So I'm going to talk about the route that I went. There's definitely plenty of options out there, but I'm going to show you the route I went, and these are the stuff that are absolutely necessary and some stuff that is highly recommended. So I have prices on everything. I have not added it all up yet, so I don't know what the total is going to be, so it's going to be interesting. So but the route that I decided to go was to start with a CX Racing Turbo Kit. Now, I'm working at home. I don't have welding skills or anything to do anything custom, so I went with that route because it's pretty bolt-on. Everything is mounted, and there's no cutting, no welding necessary. Everything was bolt-on, and you get some of the basic stuff. You get the turbo with it, you get a wastegate, you get a blow-off valve, you get the intercooler piping. But that's generally what you get. You get some oil feeds and all that stuff, but I didn't use them because they look kind of crappy, so I definitely didn't go that direction with that. But as far as the kit, now I bought the kit 2 years ago. Prices have definitely changed a little bit. When I bought the kit, I think it was $1,700. Now the kit is now $2,150. So prices on some of this stuff, after looking at them today, they definitely have gone up. So I'm gonna go with today's market. In today's market, how much it costs to turbo an E36. So starting with the turbo kit, so I have a calculator here. I'm adding them up, everything up right now, and starting with that, $2,150. So going from there, again, the turbo feed line, they give you one. It was kind of crappy. I got another one. I got one locally, so I'm gonna add the price that I got it for. I got it locally from a hydraulics shop, and they made it to my spec, and that was $60. Rally Road Racing or rallyroad.net, they have one on there you can get for $30. You can do that. So going from there to the drain, the fittings, it was a bunch of little parts I got and pretty much pieced together to make an extended drain so it would be easier. That was roughly $50, so let's add $50. And from there, you need a way to feed the line. I got the Vanos Banjo bolt that connects right to the Vanos bolt, and it has a port on the outside that helps you feed it. So that was 28 bucks. You can get that from Rally Road also. N54 exhaust studs. That's not necessary. I got it because it does make the job a little bit easier. The exhaust studs on N54 is a little bit smaller, and the ends of them actually have torque spits, so you can actually remove them a lot easier than trying to grip them with pliers or however you want to do it instead of just studs. So those not necessary, but I got them, so I'm adding them on the car. These are $130 each. I'm sorry, 130 pennies each, $1.30 each, and you need 24, so that is roughly around 31 bucks. So let's add $31 there, and from there you need to drain it down to the oil pan. So you're going to need a AN10. I went with AN10. Like I said, CX Racing gives you some rubber hosing, and I don't want to do rubber, so AN10 is definitely pretty much universal with a lot of stuff. So I got AN10 Weld-in Bung, took it to a friend. He's really good at aluminum welding, and I think he charged me around 50 bucks, and the Weld-in Bung was like 7 bucks. So let's say $57 for that together. I'll tell you what the price of everything is when I get to the end. Like I say, we're finding out at the same time right now. The hoses and fittings. Now that you got the AN10 bung, the AN10 drain thing, you need the hoses and the fittings, the little 90-degree turns and all that stuff. So that, you can get that from Summit Racing. You can get about 10 feet of it. I know you don't need 10 feet to go from your turbo down to your oil pan, but you're going to use AN10 for stuff in the future, I'm sure, because AN10 is pretty universal. So around $100 for the hoses and the fitting. So let's add $100 there. and we're going to try to move on, try to make this somewhat of a quick video. From there, intake manifold. So the intake manifold I use is an M50. If you have an M52 and you have an M52 intake manifold, you can use that. A lot of people do upgrade to the M51 because they're bigger, they have bigger ports, they make, you know, more power. So I already had an M50 intake manifold at home, so I use that. So now that you use that, you have to get rid of the CCV, the little cone thing that's under the intake manifold, because that will blow up under boost. So get rid of that thing. So to get rid of that thing, you need the ICV Silicone Hose Kit and an ICV Fitting. You can get both of those from Rally Road. You can get them together, or you can buy them separate, but both of them are at Rally Road. There's other options too, but those are the ones I know, and those are the ones that I got. So 50 bucks for the silicone fitting, and 35 bucks for, I'm sorry, 50 bucks for the kit, 35 bucks for the fitting. So adding those two. And speaking of silicone, now you're gonna need a silicone intake elbow, because the old rubber one, if it doesn't have a vacuum leak already, you should have got rid of that thing a long time ago. I've had mine for about 8 years. I had the car for 10, so I definitely got rid of mine pretty quickly. So that was about 80 bucks. They do have different options. I think Rally Road has an option for a silicone elbow, and for them, they have an option to get one with just one port. So since you deleted the CCV, if you have two ports still, you have to plug one of the ports, so you can't even use both ports. So remember that. So if you get the one from Rally Road, I think it's an option to get one with just one single port, and that's, you know, that's good for turbo cars, because you only need one port anyway. So moving from there, so we got everything plumbing wise pretty much. So now, as far as turboing the car, you need stuff that supports the turbo. When you're adding turbo, you're adding a whole bunch of air, compressed air, and you need to add fueling. So fueling, a couple options to go here. I went with the Walbro 485 fuel pump, again from Rally Road. Rally Road supported a lot of this stuff, and I got that for 210 bucks. Now they do have another cheaper option. They have the 340 pump, which a lot of people are doing okay with the 340 pump, but I figured it's better to have too much than not enough, especially because I know I'm going to do E85 in the future. So I'd rather have too much of a pump than not enough pump. So I don't want to do 340 and then find out I needed the 485 in the future anyway. So I went with that. Now the fuel pump, since it is a bigger fuel pump, you cannot keep the stock wiring. So you need to add a fuel pump relay kit. You can get this from Amazon. I can't remember exactly what it's called. I'll post screenshots like everything, but you can get this from Amazon. I think it was 35 bucks, and you know, hook that up with your fuel pump, and then that way you're not burning up fuses and stuff like that. So now that we started on the fueling, you need to go to the next step of fueling, which is injectors. The injectors I went with are Siemens Deka 60-pound injectors from TRM Tuning. TRM Tuning. I went with that for a couple reasons. One, my tuner recommended it. Go with what your tuner is recommending, because your tuner pretty much already has a base tune for this type of stuff. I'll talk about that in the next couple steps, but definitely listen to your tuner, or if you already know who's going to tune your car, ask him what they would recommend, and then, you know, you can go from there. It makes their job easier, makes your job easier and quicker. So I went with the Siemens Deka 60-pound injectors from TRM Tuning. These are $400, and also they are direct bolt-on for E36, so that's the biggest reason why I went with them. So it was super easy to swap out. They just fit just like OEM, and you know, just swap them out one at a time. It's super simple. So after that, now you need a MAF, a blow-through MAF. Your stock MAF cannot monitor how much air pressure goes into from a turbo, so you need an aftermarket blow-through MAF. Now I got mine from PMAS. It's a PMAS MH30 HPX MAF. You can Google that part number. You'll find it directly on the PMAS-MAF.com. You can get it from them. It's a Mustang MAF, so don't search E36 blow-through MAF, because you're not going to find anything. So it's a Mustang MAF. It comes with the wiring harness, and you basically splice your OEM MAF wiring harness into that. So it's actually pretty simple. I made a video on that too, so you can do that pretty simple. So that brings us to $260 for that. So now that you have everything that supports the turbo, you need the most important part, the tune. The tune couple options you can go with. I don't know them all, but the tune I went with was a local friend. So he's the reason I went with the HPX MAF and the Siemens injectors, because he told me that before I even started the process, what he wants to see. So that's what I used. And he already had, you know, a base tune for it, so it didn't take him too long to tune my car after that. He gave me a tune and told me I could have ran it just like that, but I decided to wait and put it on a dyno to be safe. So, but there are other options. So a tune, it's going to be at least $1,000, you know, probably even more, because you're going to have to pay, you know, for dyno time, renting someone's dyno and stuff like that. There are some bulk deals, like I know RK Tunes, they have a bulk deal. You can buy a tune from RK Tunes for $1,600, and in that tune comes injectors and MAF and wiring harness included. So that way, you know, that kind of saves you some money instead of buying that stuff separate, because the injectors were $400, the MAF was $260. Together that's, you know, $660. So if I went with if you go with somebody like that, then, you know, you can actually save some money, pretty much get everything bulk, and then it'd be direct bolt on, and you already have a tune for it with those parts, and everything will be good. So that is absolutely necessary. And again, we're gonna go through, let's see, right now we're at, for the stuff that's absolutely necessary is, we're at $3,546, $3,500 for $3,546. That is stuff that's absolutely necessary. Now we have a lot of stuff on here that's still recommended, and we're going to touch that stuff right now. So recommended, highly recommended, the Vader Solution stainless valve cover. Not only does it look cool, but it actually protects, you know, your coil packs and everything, because your coil pack wiring harness is right next to the downpipe. So I got this because it looks cool and it protects that, but there is cheaper options. You can actually just get, I've seen people just get gold foil tape and just lay that over there, over the plastic thing, so it doesn't melt. But I went with that because, I mean, the car, I'm trying to make the car look super nice. So let's add that in there, because I do have that on my car and it's recommended. It's $180. Vader Solutions has one, and 22 RPD has one too. I think they're the same price. Mishimoto aluminum expansion tank. Again, not absolutely necessary, but recommended, simply because the turbo housing sits, you know, less than an inch from the expansion tank. So if it's sitting that close, you know, a plastic one will melt in no time. So a lot of people save money by just keeping the plastic one and just rotating it to the other side of the radiator. So I didn't do that route. I went with the aluminum one, and I think it looks a whole lot better. So price on that right now is $160. I think those went up too. Now, you're making boost. How much boost are you making? How much power are you making? That's gonna be dependent on you and your tuner. But if you're gonna try to make a lot of power, you're gonna need some head studs. You're gonna need some ARP head studs. So do not skimp out on that. Those are, you know, they're pretty hard to find right now. There's a lot of supply and demand for those. So I would definitely Google those as soon as you can and try to get them as soon as you can, because they do go in and out of stock. They have definitely went up in price since I got mine. They were $180 when I got mine. I Googled them, and just now I just saw them for $236. So you have to Google them, because certain sites have them, certain sites don't. You just have to get lucky. So $236 was the last price I saw. The part number is 201-4302. That is for M50, M52, S50, and S52. So that's what you want. Try to find those if you can. Next step, now that you did head studs, head gasket. If you want to make a lot of power, you need a head gasket. You can make decent power on stock head gasket. I don't know how much power I was making, because I got it base tuned at 8 pounds with the CX kit, and it was making 301, and then I bumped it up to 13, and then it spiked to 15, and then it started hitting 17. It was super fast, so I have no idea how much power I was making. But head gasket is blown now, because I had a stock head gasket and I was pushing 17 pounds. So that was really bad. That is definitely not recommended, but it's recommended that you get a head gasket. So I now have a head gasket. This is a cut ring head gasket. So this is really recommended from a lot of people. The cut ring head gasket, it holds a lot of boost. There are different options. You can also do an MLS gasket, but I hear a lot of mixed reviews, so I decided not to go that route. So cut ring head gasket is here now. Now I have this. This is another item that is kind of back ordered a lot, so this is the way I found it. Drift HQ, I use Drift HQ a lot because they have stuff, they won't put it on their site unless it's in stock. So when I saw it was in stock there, I went ahead and ordered it, and I got it in 2 days. A lot of places, they'll have it on their site, you'll order it, and then you'll find out it's back ordered. So Drift HQ does not do that. They will not add it unless it's actually in the store. So that's awesome. So thank you, Drift HQ, for that. So let's move on. Add that $275, because that's how much I got this for. $275. I forgot to add the tune, so I don't know where we were when I said absolutely necessary. I said $3,500, so that's about $4,500. So for $1,000, I added the tune for $1,000 because I already had the other stuff. So catch can again isn't absolutely necessary, but recommended. You can get that from eBay for like 50 bucks. It's, I mean, I got one for 60. They have some for 20 and 30. So average, you can say about 50 bucks. To connect the catch can from your valve cover, there's a fitting on Vader Solutions. That's also 50 bucks. So let's add that. And then you need a boost and AFR gauge. So I went with a combo, a boost and AFR gauge, instead of buying 2 gauges separate. So I got the Innovate Motorsports boost and AFR gauge. It's perfect. It's 300 bucks and it has everything you need. So now with that, you need, of course, if you're going to run an AFR gauge, you also need a O2 sensor. So O2 sensor Bung welded to your downpipe. Say the Bung is pretty cheap, and then, you know, to have a friend weld it, say 50 bucks. So after that, there's also the custom pod that actually holds my my gauge, and that was $150. So actually the prices definitely went up. I think it was $130 when I ordered it. The price went up a little bit, and that's kind of where we're at. So after that, boost controller. Boost controller is really recommended. I did not have a boost controller. I was running wastegate spring, and I was boost spiking a lot. So that's kind of where I am the way I am right now, but that's fine. I have a manual boost controller now that I will be installing later when we get this thing back on the road. That's $110. You can also go with electric ones, and those are super expensive. They're like $300 to $400. And last but not least, probably the most recommended thing, probably a tile wastegate. So the CX Racing wastegate, it works. It does work for a little bit, because it only worked for about 2 months, and then the diaphragm just kind of, you know, did its thing, and then I hit 24 psi one time, and I'm honestly surprised the engine still runs, because that's a lot of boost, especially on pump gas. If it was the 85, all right, that'd have been all right, but that was a lot, and that was definitely not recommended. So that is $300 for a highly recommended tile wastegate. And to convert wastegate from 2-bolt to V-band, that is $33. I did that also because that is very necessary, because 2-bolt sucks. It really sucks in that location of the CX Racing kit. You have to get 1 bolt from the top, 1 from the bottom, and you can only use an Allen. It's a pain in the ass. So swapping to V-band really helped a lot, and I made a complete video on that also. So that brings us to all the stuff that is now absolutely necessary and all the stuff that's highly recommended, which brings us now to a total of $6,400. So that is roughly $6,400 worth of stuff to turbo and E36. Now again, I got to the other part where we basically got down all the way to the tune, and as far as like the valve cover, expansion tank, all that other stuff, you know, that's highly recommended. I would definitely go that route, because that will save you some headaches later in the future, especially the head gasket. I do have head studs in the car, but with the stock head gasket, it didn't last that long. So, well, it did last about a year, so I don't want to say that it didn't last that long. It did last about a year of a lot of abuse, so that did pretty good. So but yeah, that is the price. Roughly, it's going to cost you about $6,400. So again, there's other options. I bought everything brand new. You can find stuff used. You can buy a used kit from somebody, or if you're good at welding, you can make your own kit, and that way you just buy a turbo and wastegate and stuff and just make your own kit, and that way, you know, you can probably save money if you go that route. Just buy a manifold and then do your own intercooler piping, and that could probably save you some money too. But since I don't have the ability to do that, I bought the CX kit and just made adjustments from there. So that's how much it costs, roughly $6,000 to boost an M52. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Absolutely. I will definitely do it again. I most likely will do it again. And yeah, so that's gonna do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys learned. I will definitely save this in my shelf, because I will definitely use this as my own cheat sheet later. So I'm not gonna be able to link everything because prices change all the time and links change all the time. So if you want to know where any of this stuff is, you can Google it. All this stuff pops up on Google easily. I had to Google all this stuff just going off memory of everything I installed in the car, and I just Googled everything and everything came up. So you can Google all this stuff super easily. So that's gonna do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Deuces. See you in the next one.